Hello guys, I'm so excited for this live. So I'm going to be interviewing Joaquín Machado. So he is the founder of Spiro. I'm going to read just a little bio about him before I bring him in so you guys know who it is that I'm interviewing. So Joaquín Machado is an EMF researcher. He's an inventor with over 14 international patents in nanotechnology and electronics. He's the author of many scientific publications. He's the founding director of the GEMS Academy. He's an honorary delegate of the EFEIA Institute and an advisory board member of the Electrosmog Research Association. He's a pioneer in the field of healthy technologies. He's renowned for inventing the nanocomposite material that led to the development of Spiro technology. With a deep passion for improving quality of life through innovation, Machado has spent years researching and developing technological solutions that promote optimal well-being and health. His unique approach combines principles of bioengineering with the latest trends in the wellness field known as biohacking, resulting in products and services that have transformed the way people interact with their health and protect themselves from electromagnetic pollution. Currently, he collaborates with health professionals and organizations worldwide to implement Spiro technology in various clinical practices, enhancing the lives of thousands of people. So I am really excited to have him on. Let me see. I don't know what account he's going to be joining from, his English account or the Spiro account. Let's see. Joaquin, if you're here. Okay, so let me see. Oh, there we go. Here we go. As I'm wearing my Spiro card. Hi.
Hi, Lauren. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. How are
Good.
you?
Good. I'm so excited to have you on. I feel very privileged that you're willing to do this.
My pleasure. My pleasure to be here.
And where are you from originally?
I'm from Venezuela, and now I'm in Miami.
Okay. We were, I don't know if you know, but I live in Spain. One of
Yeah.
my best friends is Natalia Subirats. I don't know if you,
Oh, okay. Yes.
yeah,
Natalia.
yeah, she's my dear
Great.
friend. So she told me to tell you hi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Natalia.
Well, I've been speaking the praises of Spiro now for a couple of months. I met with Matthias and he helped me learn about the products a little bit more. He's been wonderful. And
Yes.
they're the first EMF products that I've ever, marketed to people or talked about on social media. Because it's the first time that I've actually really experienced quite a bit of a difference using the products and that my clients have as well. So I don't know if you want to just give me kind of the backstory about how the technology works and why I think I heard from Natalia that your wife was quite electrosensitive
Yeah.
and that's sort of why you started the company. But I'd love to hear that story about how you got going and then how this technology actually works.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, actually, before Spiro even exists, my wife, she's an engineer. She was suffering from very rare symptoms not connected to any illness, and she has some suddenly a chronic fatigue, and then tinnitus, and the tinnitus go to headaches, and the headaches brain fog. So we were going doctor to doctor, and every test came back normal. So it was it was start to feel for to her like a frustrating process because she was not able to find what's happening to me.
Yeah.
And at what point she even thought maybe it was psychological and maybe she was crazy. And the doctors uh, sometimes suggest that because if you have so many symptoms and when you go to any test you are fine, so it start to being very challenging for the person that is suffering from this. And in our case, I have a background in electromagnetic radiation. I was a researcher. I was studying EMF since 7 years before we get married. And one of the things that I found was very interesting because I was educated that this electromagnetic radiation, non-native from cell phones and this type of technologies, produce potential risk on cancer on long term. That was my standard and conventional education on this topic. And what happened was, it was shocking for me because I met a doctor in Switzerland. She is a holistic doctor, an integrated doctor, and she was quite aware of what's happening with people suffering from electro hypersensitivity. And as soon as we started to talk with her, she said, I mean, it's probably she's suffering from electro hypersensitivity. And it was shocking to me because I was studying the field and I was not educated on this specific topic.
Yeah.
So we moved from Venezuela, we moved to Aruba Island, the Dutch Caribbean, and there we were looking for people that uh, I was suffering like her, and trying to see if we can find a direct correlation between specific symptoms and a specific type of exposure. We were trying to find solutions that actually work because we try all the shielding devices and also harmonizers and clothes and these type of things, and nothing really works for her. And so in the process, I start to study more deeply what type of problem comes from this radiation. And I found specific papers related to that the wave intensity is the standard conventional approach. The wave intensity was not the issue. The issue real is the polarization. So the polarization is a term that we use normally in medical conference to say about the cells, how polarized and depolarized. But polarization is also a term that we use in telecommunications. When we are sending information in a telecommunication signal, it goes out, it's actually because we're modulating the waves. So that terms is also, we are polarizing waves. So there is several doctors in Sweden, and one of them is Professor Olli Johansson from the Karolinska Institute. I was connected to his work, and he was studying how people in the 80s and the 90s, they were exposed to the screen of the computers. They're having some issues with the skin, some changes in the skin reaction, conductance, and also I was thanks to this doctor, I was connected to other studies in the U.S. from the environmental medicine and Dr. William Rea, one of the fathers of the environmental medicine, and he was also mentioning there was a specific syndrome that he called electromagnetic syndrome, and then they call it electromagnetic hypersensitivity syndrome.
Yeah.
So, trying to go to the root of these studies, I found the same pattern is repeat always, and the pattern was it was not connected to wave intensity in a specific moment. It was connected to the chronic exposure that you have over the years. So
Yeah.
my wife, she was exposed because she was exposed in an industrial level because she was working in a telecommunications company. She was interacting with the cell phone tower directly, a close exposure. That's what we call nowadays a near field exposure. So she developed this. But something very important, Lauren, is the type of exposure she received in those years. Nowadays, everybody is receiving in most of the cities with the 5G. So now we have a huge amount of people suffering from this. They are not relating this with the radiation, so they're having several illness, several sensitivities, food sensitivities, light sensitivities, noise sensitivities,
Yeah.
chemical sensitivities. They are more sensitive to mold. They are more sensitive to different environmental toxins, and the key factor is the nervous system is dysregulated because of this electrical stimulation that
Yeah.
we're receiving all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I've experienced this for myself. I went through a whole chronic illness journey, and I had worked with several building biologists in the past, and most of them, this has been years now, but most of them recommended blocking.
Yeah.
And so you spend all this money like painting your whole bedroom and like wearing these clothes and like buying these like $3,000 tents, to go over your bed, and it doesn't really work anyway. And in a lot of ways, I found that people actually felt worse sometimes.
Yes.
And after reading some of your articles, it sort of made sense to me, because if I'm understanding this right, that you are basically separating yourself from the Earth's frequency as well.
Yeah.
And so, yes, maybe you're blocking some of these bad frequencies, but you're also not getting, the frequencies that we need. And I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but I just have noticed over time that the more people block, sometimes they'll feel a little better, but for the vast majority of the time, they feel worse or no better or the same.
Yeah. Well, as you know, we have symptoms in our body that are it's a way our body to say, I mean, something is wrong in our space. So when you block, of course, you lose some symptoms and you think, yeah, you're fine and you are now protected. But actually, what's happening is uh, the symptoms are just an external reaction in our skin conductance that give you the pain sensations. But the real issue with this electromagnetic pollution is what is happening inside your cells. You're absorbing noise that is interfering basically with our cellular communication. It's affecting the way our cells polarize and the way our cells let the calcium channel gated ion opens and go calcium inside the cell. So that changed the whole bioelectrical system of our body. So you can have those changes that are not good, these harmful effects, without external signs and symptoms. That is what's happening. And actually, I have customers, they build a huge amount of Faraday cages. They spend 10,000 of dollars on this type of huge amount of very dense paints with a specific materials. And I have a customer, she's building biologist in California, and she was frustrated because after she built following all the principles and putting all the shielding in the master bedroom, she can even be there for at least 5 minutes. I mean, now she said to me, Joaquin, I mean, I need to turn down everything. Otherwise, I can't live here. So now she's living outside. She can be there. She spent a lot of money on this. And the reason is that, I mean, you're still receiving the exposure because the thing with the electromagnetic pollution that is really producing these harmful effects is noise. It's a noise that you can't hear, but it's a noise that in telecommunication we call it noise too. It's a noise that is basically a disturbance. And the physical mechanism, it's physics. The physical mechanism that is producing this disturbance are following quantum principles. And following the quantum principles, it's producing a noise that can go through any walls and can go through any shielding devices. Why? Because it's a quantum tunneling effect. That's the physical term. So it can go through anything. So in physics, we know that we can effectively block electrical fields, but we can't block really easy magnetic fields. And this is a magnetic phenomenon in the most fundamental level. So we have our cells. It's basically it's not the quantum level. We have our molecules that are in the nanoscale. What we call when we say nanotechnology, we are saying the size of a water molecule. And when we go below that, we go to the atomic level. That's when we enter to this quantum level. In the quantum level, it's specifically, in this case, the electron spin. So the electrons they have a specific momentum. and the momentum is a magnetic behavior. And maybe this is going to sound very scientific for some people, but they need to understand that all the air molecules that we have in our space are being affected by this. All our water molecules, air molecules, soil molecules, everything is interacting with this noise, and the electrons in all these molecules are being polarized artificially and are losing the basically organic quantum information they hold. So it's crazy, but what we are doing is basically poisoning our spaces. We're
Yeah.
poisoning our air, we're poisoning our soil, we're poisoning in a electromagnetic level, in a most fundamental level, with noise. We're adding noise.
Wow. That actually makes a lot of sense. I mean, when you talk about it that way, it sounds actually quite scary because now you're not just talking about your living environment, you're talking about where you grow your food, the air that you're breathing. Like you're saying everything on the planet, living or non-living, is affected by the noise.
Yes. And it's very important to understand and relate this with noise, because it's actually we use scientific techniques and instruments and methods to prove and to measure this and to do a full assessment on the spaces, and we can see the noise. We can use actually telecommunication softwares that the telecommunication industry they use it all the time. We use it the same softwares, and you can see the noise, you can see the pattern of the noise. So the the important thing here is to understand that the EMF, and this goes back to what one of the things you were saying before is the EMF are good. We evolve with EMF. We are electromagnetic beings. We use electrical impulse to connect our nervous system. We are using all the time. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, our heart is producing electrical pulses. If you go to do any medical test, what they are doing basically, they study how your heart is functioning, how your brain is functioning, and what they are doing actually is studying the electrical frequencies that they can measure in your brain. So everything is connected with electricity, everything is connected to magnetic that behaviors in our cells, and that is producing the whole process of communication. Before any chemical response, before any chemical interaction in our cells, before that, there precedes an electrical communication. And before the electrical communication happen, and this goes to quantum biology, there is actually a quantum biology university here in the US that are studying this. Before that electrical impulse, there is information that is sharing in the system. And the information that is being shared is key. It's a key factor. So if the information is corrupted, if the information is full of noise, it's a basic interference. So, for instance, when the people have a short memory loss, when you have a short memory loss, we know as a fact, in a neurological level, you have an interference. Something interfere in the connection of the neurons.
Mm-hmm.
So that's its noise. So where we adding is more noise to the system, and our antioxidant defense systems try to compensate the noise, adding electrons, because actually the noise produce more free radicals. The
Yeah.
free radicals increase the oxidative stress response, so we get inflammation in our system. So
Yeah.
the antioxidant defense system is trying to donate electrons, and it's not being capable to do it because the free radicals are being produced are super reactive and are super powerful, and they're much more than what we can produce. That's the reason that we need also to understand that we need to have healthy habits, such as the go back to nature, and that goes about the EMF frequencies, the natural frequencies.
Yeah.
Our body needs, as an open system, needs to interact with the sunlight
Yeah.
every day, because we are receiving the photons. That's the basic nutrition that we need every day. So it's not we're eating electrons when we are taking our food. We're eating electrons, but the energy level of the electron is connected to the with the photons that the electron is holding inside. When the electron moves in the energy, it's spread, is liberating basically photons. So the photons give the energy level to the electron. So basically, the sun is give you the photons to your body to increase your energy level.
Mm.
So how Dr. Jerry Tennant say in a book, Healing is Voltage, in order that you have the increase of voltage, you need photons and more electrons.
Yeah.
And that's the reason that we need these natural habits to recollect electrons from Earth, and we need to collect sun radiation.
Yeah. Do you think over time, since we're just adding more and more 5G and I'm sure we'll get even more, technologically advanced at some point, do you think that eventually, like, any sort of protection that we have, being out in the sunlight all day, being in nature, do you think it will eventually not be enough to compensate for the amount of noise that we're exposed to?
Yeah, nowadays, if we are not filtering the noise, we are not capable to compensate, because in the beginning we were able to compensate in this umbrella effect that we receive when we are grounded. It's one of the statements of Professor Richard Feynman in the 60s. He was talking about the umbrella effect. So basically, we lose this umbrella effect in the last years because we have so much noise in the
Yeah.
higher frequency spectrum. So we are not capable to compensate. Dr. George Carlo, he was one of the first that explained this with experimental evidence in the end of the 90s, and he was studying the effects from the cell phones radiation in the brain activity. And he found that over time, our body is capable to have like a natural compensation mechanisms that
Mm.
trying to adapt. But in the last decade, we lose this because the amount of aggression we are being bombarded all the time,
Yeah.
it's impossible to compensate. So that's the reason that we need a technology like Spiro, because the Spiro is going to filter the noise. And the good thing to understand about this pollution, it's like I say in the beginning, was it's not about the wave intensity. So I know there is people that they use meters like this or like these ones,
Yeah.
and that they listen to some maybe experts in social media, and they're saying about the intensity of the radiation. But actually, if you measure this and you understand the in order of magnitudes, the amount of electromagnetic radiation that we're receiving in higher frequencies from different other sources, like natural sources, are much more higher, 1,000 times higher. So the mechanisms is being affecting us is just because it's disturbed, it's noisy. So it's easy if you have the proper technology. It's easy to filter the noise because it's not an intensity issue. So it's not that, for instance, when we go from 4G to 5G, basically we don't increase the intensity of the exposure in the space. What we did as a society was we increased the bandwidth. When we increase the bandwidth, they increase the bandwidth because they want to spread more information per second. And because they want to save energy, they increase the bandwidth. I'm saying just super, I'm sacrificing technical terms. But basically, what they do is adding more bandwidth, more channels. So you start to have more information being spread, more noise.
Mm-hmm.
But this artificial quantum noise, or AQN, is not necessarily connected to more intensity. Even if you take this type of equipments, you're not going to see more intensity. Actually, I know some cities in Europe, they have less intensity but more noise. Because as soon as you go to the new generation of telecommunications, they're just spreading in a wider bandwidth, and that's changed the game.
Yeah.
And it goes back that the issue is going to be easy to solve because it's just something that you need to filter out.
Okay. So what is the difference then between the Spiro technology and like harmonizing?
The harmonizer are producing natural frequencies, specific frequencies. Sometimes they are producing also negative ions to the space to compensate.
Mm.
What their harmonizer are doing are trying to compensate the noisy effect, but they are not dealing with the noise. They are trying to add positive energy, to say in lay terms, and
Yeah.
this positive energy is just compensating the noise. So what happened with this is you can start to feel that you're feeling good, but you're still being getting the harmful effects inside your cells. And so when we start to study this with several cases, and Lauren, remember that I have a 7 year study with 357 patients of EHS with
Yeah.
several doctors, and we studied the different factors. And what we found was that those that were using harmonizer, they were masking the symptoms, they were masking the effects. But when we go to measure real biomarkers, such as VO2 max, such as heart rate variability,
Yeah.
such as the resting heart rate before you go to sleep, such as the REM cycle. How good is your REM cycle, and how your brain is moving in these cycles. And when we start to measure this, they having a specific indication were getting worse and worse and worse over time, even with the harmonizers.
Yeah.
But some harmonizers are producing frequencies that compensate this effect and increase the heart rate variability, and help you to produce the resting heart rate get reduced, so you are more relaxed. So, but it's a compensation mechanism. So when we go to markers that are related to free radicals, you're still having this premature aging response in your body, just oxidative stress. So it's very interesting because I'm not saying the harmonizers are not good. There is harmonizers that are very good, but are not good to protect you from the AQN, from the artificial quantum noise. Are good to enhance the space, are good to add some specific frequency that can help you to produce some relaxed response in your autonomic nervous system, but are not protective systems. That's the only difference. So actually, you can use Spiro technologies and you can add harmonizers. It's like
Mm.
neutralize the noise and play music. So if the music is good, it's a classical music, it's going to help you to feel better, that's good. But
Yeah.
you need to clean the space from the artificial quantum noise.
Okay. Yeah, I had a case actually of a kid in Barcelona, and they were very close to some 5G towers. I mean, it's kind of impossible not to be now in Barcelona, but
Yeah.
and he 5 or 6 years old, and he just couldn't sleep. And we had sort of looked at other things, oral dysfunction, other reasons for him not being able to sleep. And eventually I told his mom, I was like, you should try these Spiro products, because for me, it made a massive difference in my sleep and heart rate variability. And like sometimes I have to have my router turned on if my husband is using the Wi-Fi in another room and I'm sitting right next to it. And now I have, my card and and all of that. And like it's just made such a big difference, because I used to get like tachycardia when I would sit here next to the router.
Wow. Yeah.
And this kid, like it was like 3 or 4 nights later, after putting the disc in his room, he started sleeping through the night.
Great.
It
Great.
was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And that's happening around, I mean, all the cases where we're having issues with 5G towers, we are
Yeah.
capable to solve the issue with the disk. The disk
Yeah.
is a blessing. I
Yeah.
I have my disk also in my bedroom. I have an Ultra with me because my wife, she's using an Ultra since she recovered from the electro hypersensitivity, and we are surrounded in Miami from different 5G sources, close sources,
Yeah.
and we have a normal life, and we're fine, and we have several cases here in Miami, but also in different other cities in the U.S. For instance, we have people in Naples, Florida, elder people, and they were suffering from tinnitus, and they were when they are exposed to some specific frequency they were receiving from the air conditioning systems. The machine was close to them. Some others that were connected to 5G towers, and as soon as we place the disc and they start to use the Spiro Car X in the body, they get relief from the tinnitus. So
Yeah.
the tinnitus is something that is increasing nowadays because the people are using Bluetooth devices. They're putting in their head is crazy. They're putting more electrical stimulation. So there is things that people still can do to reduce the direct exposure. And if you combine those specific change of habits of the use of technologies and you start using the Spiro filters, you will be fine. Even if you're using technologies, you can still using Wi-Fi. And we have clinical trials that prove this, and double-blind studies and sport performance and different other type of clinical studies that can prove that you can still using all these technologies without any issue.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, this is kind of a personal question, but so I'm part of a big project here in Spain. We're developing something called an eco village, and we're building like 500 homes that all have, shielded cables and the ability
Yes.
to kind of turn on and off the Wi-Fi. Have you ever used Spiro on like a larger scale where you have like giant discs? Or, I mean, we're trying to make this community essentially as healthy as possible. We're regenerating all of the soil and, we're looking at different water filtration systems. And so I had mentioned to them about the Spiro and that we have them literally all over our house. And then I thought to myself, wow, I wonder if there's something on a larger scale that could affect an entire community to protect them from like even just satellites or these things that we really can't do anything about.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Actually, we have a protocol for that. We're involved in several projects nowadays in Chile and also in Portugal in a village, also an eco village. And there is a way, even if we have this disc, and you can see that these are very small
Yeah.
for to see it in terms of a village. One of the things that happen is that we're capable to take advantage of the disc because the disc have if you put it in and you leave it in a specific place without move it, you get the residual effect that builds in the space. So
Mm.
you we have a protocol that we are using with a specific fractal geometry that we study the fractal geometry and the fractal geometry of the space. Actually, we cover in Aruba Island. We did a pilot project. It was in feet in square meters. It was something like 2,000 square meters, something like that. And we proved the concept. And then actually we finished a project in Texas for a full space. And when we place the disc in a specific location, we take advantage of each residual effect and we combine it and produce a higher response in the space, more
Mm.
stable, and produce like a dome of filtering massively all those frequencies. It's incredible when you see it actually with technical details in softwares. Even for me, it's amazing. I'm still amazed what I'm seeing. It's for instance, we reduce 12 folds the amount of wireless radiation that is being transmitted in a space,
Yeah.
just placing the disk strategically placed in these geometric patterns. Also, we study different patterns in fractal geometry because when you fractal geometry is the capacity to reproduce the same pattern in just increasing the size.
Yeah.
So when you go deep inside the disk, for those that they are not quite familiar with the disk they have inside this type of technology. The technology actually is inside of this. Is the film that is protecting this film is protecting the gold nanoparticles. I have an expertise in material science and nanotechnologies. I study the specific properties of gold nanoparticles, and we're producing a specific response. It is a multi-frequency response in the whole spectrum, so we can work with frequencies of 6G generation, of 7G. We can go to terahertz because the field has a response in a multi-frequency spectrum. So we are not tied to a specific frequency. And when we combine this pattern using the disk at the same time, we have huge response in the space. And also we can add a strength to the field when we are in more layers, like this is the ultra. So
Yeah.
we have 5 layers on this. So there is a protocol to work with village in large spaces. Actually, I have a project for I studied this and actually patent a protocol to do it in a city. We know how to do it in a city, so we hope we can do it in the future. I don't know when it's
Nice.
going to happen, but I'm sure it's going to happen.
Amazing. Well, we will definitely be reaching out to you then because that would be so cool. We would be maybe the first, or
Yeah,
maybe not the first, but
absolutely.
one of the
Yeah,
first eco villages with the technology because we're building a hotel and a big medical clinic. And so, yeah, that would be amazing.
that's amazing. You know, something that for people that are interacted with this technology in the beginning, they start with the standard approaches. Okay, I'm taking a technology to be protected from the electromagnetic radiation. So they
Right.
start with this process. With time, they will realize that the Spiro technology is just taking advantage of a natural physical phenomenon that is called the Spiro fields. And the Spiro fields is a huge super coherent field. The super coherent field is a natural organizer in the space. It's organizing the way that molecules should behave.
Yeah.
So the Spiro technology is at the same time a wellness enhancement system. So even if you are in a place that you don't have so much radiation, if you take the this ultra and you place it close to your body, you will produce several enhancements of wellness in your body that are not related to the amount of pollution that you were receiving, and it's not related to anything of pollution. It's related to the properties of the applying nanomagnetism. The nanomagnetism is a property that are related to the gold nanoparticles. And we studied this in food preservation, and we can extend the food preservation if you place this. Actually, we are doing projects in sustainable agriculture and in sustainable livestock farms, and we are seeing the response, the different response that we have in soils. But also, if you have a banana and you place the banana up, and you put close to the banana, you will extend the life of the banana actually between 30 to 35%. But what's happening is you're reducing the oxidative stress response. So when you start to combine and connecting the dots, we're starting to do studies connecting to supplements, to vitamins, how we
Yeah.
can enhance it. We are starting to study actually in food. We are starting to do studies on organic food. And for instance, connected to food sensitivities, connected to, for instance, the sourdough. We have different chefs around the world. They are using this to produce a new type of sourdough that it's when in the fermentation process it's grow much more faster, and actually it's more tasty. But also we have people using for yogurts, for cheese, and the bacteria, the good bacteria, grow incredible. So, and in the end, we have something that we can combine as a tool for wellness, and that is very very interesting.
That is amazing.
Yes, it
That's,
is.
but essentially, you're like reverse aging things in a way, right? Like you're slowing
Yeah.
down your own aging process by reducing oxidative stress.
Yes, and I have different studies actually myself, and the biological age you can measure from different specific
Yeah.
tests. And I was not aware of this in the beginning of the project, and actually in the first years, I just used the filters placed to the close sources of pollution for my wife, but we were not using in my body, in her body, She was using more in her body because she needed for the sensitivity. But
Yeah.
I was not quite familiar. But when I start to see the results in the water, easy water or
Yeah.
structured water, when we start to see it in food, in fruits, so I start to put it close to my body. That's the reason that we found it in microbiome system. If you place the CAR X, you will enhance
Yeah.
actually the electrical communication. You will enhance the way the microbiome react, and the parasites are not going to be happy if you have parasites. So it's going to be a system that it will also teach you when you have parasites, because they can handle the coherence. So to take advantage of this, you need to place the disc close to your body or close to the food or to any biological system. I started to do it around 6 years, around 6 or 5 years ago. And my chronological age and the biological age, I have 6 years more in biological age because I was obese and I had different other issues in the past, and I had like a 48 biological age. Now I'm 45 years old, and my biological age from the last test is 30 years. It's incredible. It's 15 years below my chronological age. But I have different customers with different tests. I have one that he had 17 years below the chronological age.
That's it.
And I mean, it's incredible. And the good thing is it's biological response in your cells, the energy level you have available during the day, how your brain activity is working, how your capacity of focus and sustain the focus. Because most of the people are not familiar that when you're exposed to this electromagnetic pollution, even if you don't have any type of symptoms or signs in your body, the people normalize stress, normalize fatigue, normalize anxiety.
Totally.
So they are not aware that they're normalized. Then when they're reaching during the day in the work the hours, maybe 2 p.m. or 3 p.m., they are just fatigued. They can't continue. They can't focus. They say, I mean, it's too much. The day was super stressful. But when you add a Spiro and when you add a Carex, they can suddenly start to feel fine, have energy, have focus, and reaching the 6 p.m. and still working, and they're happy. So the people are not familiar that there is a subtle mood you lose when you are in this noisy environment.
Yeah. No, I mean, I notice it with myself too. Just even being able to sit in my office and even with the router turned on and my computer here and my phone next to me, like an EMF disaster.
Yeah,
When I wear this and I have the disc and I have the square X on my router, it's completely different. It's like my body just whoop calms down. And the
yeah,
minute that I don't put this on or I move the disc for some reason and I'm sitting here and I forget about it, I'm like, I start getting anxious. I start getting the tachycardia, and I'm like, oh, that's Spiro. It's really wild.
yeah. It's
Um,
it's it's wild. If you see it from outside, we are talking about a material you don't need to plug. We are not using batteries. It's not going to expire because
yeah,
actually the natural properties of gold nanoparticles are natural, so it's not going to expire. It's not going to stop behaving like they are behaving. So you have a tool for your whole life.
yeah. And we travel with ours now, so we bring it and we put it in the hotel or the Airbnb. My son has his disc and we have our disc, and I always
Great,
I always bring the card X with me. Um,
great, great.
and it makes such a big difference, even in the airplane. Like when we wear it in the airplane and we have to do like a long haul flight to the U.S. or something, it makes a difference in like your jet lag, the fatigue that you feel. It's helped improve that too. So
Yes, there is our body trying always to regulate, but we lose regulation when we are traveling because actually we're changing time zones, we are changing so many factors, and we're exposed to so many sounds, lights, and different stimulus. But the capacity to regulate your nervous system with the spirofields, it's like the self-regulation you have in a normal space without any stress response. Of course, if you have a person that never was capable to regulate, because we have people that are the emotional regulation, it's more tough for them, or
Yeah.
they have more issues with some different factors that are psychological or chemical in the space, or maybe they're a toxin they have or an addiction. But I don't know the baseline where you're starting, but the Spiro will take you to your standard baseline, that how you regulate yourself. If you train yourself to regulate much better, okay, he will take you there.
Yeah, I agree. I've noticed that. Can we talk a little bit about the products? People are, I saw a question come in too, and it's actually something that I can't really conceptualize myself, but how do we know which products to use? Like I have a square X on my router, but then I
Yeah.
also have a disc in between me and the router, and then I wear this. I don't know if that's excessive or not, but and then I have the Ultra. We kind of have it in our living room since our living room's a bigger space. I have a disc X next to our bed. My son has a regular disc, and then we have other discs kind of placed throughout the house. Is there like a way, like how do people know exactly like how many discs or how many squares they need throughout the house? Is there an appropriate way to do it, or the more the better, or what's the theory on that?
Yeah, the more the better, yeah. But the thing is, filters needs to be placed close to specific sources of pollution,
Okay.
and we have the major sources and the minor sources. The minor sources are type of electrical appliances in our home that are not really producing so much radiation. So the residual effect of the disk on the space will take out and clean the noise from those sources. But we have major sources such as Wi-Fi routers, when we have some smart devices in our kitchen too, we have to place the disk direct to the source. And the reason it's very important is one of the biggest mistakes that most of the people that are connected to EMF are not aware. The thing is, the people think that the problem with electromagnetic pollution is only microwave radiation, telecommunication signals, 5G, 4G, Wi-Fi. And they think that the electrical wiring system and the emission from linked to the electrical wiring system are not producing any harmful effects. The issue is that we're exposed to both types of contaminations. So we need to filter out both. And the Spiro material, the residual effect of the Spiro material has the capacity to reach and go through walls for the microwave spectrum. So the microwave signals that you are receiving with this Ultra and this X and the other ones that you have in your house are combining in a huge response in the space. And from the microwave perspective of radiation, you are neutralizing the noise, even the noise coming from your cell phone, because the cell phone is receiving signals and transmitting, but it's in a space that the residual effect of Spiro is resonating on those frequencies in a huge response, and is basically automatically filtering out the noise. So why I'm still needing the car in the cell phone and all these other filters close proximity to the devices? The reason is, when you have, for instance, your laptop is connected. For instance, a laptop is connected to the wiring system, to the outlet. You are producing a bubble around the laptop, and the bubble is a combination of different low frequency radiation, and the low frequency connected what is called alternated current, full of what is called also harmonics and transients that are coming to the wires. It's also called dirty power or dirty electricity.
Mm-hmm.
So you are immersed in this bubble of low frequency radiation. It's not a bubble that is spreading signals to the space. It's a bubble that is remaining around the device, but is sharing noise to the space. What happens is, if your body interact direct with the bubble of these low frequencies, and you don't have a Spiro material inside the bubble, you're not going to filter those frequencies. You need to filter those frequencies. You need the material interacting. It's a requirement from our studies in laboratories, and I did several studies in different laboratories trying to figure out this. And finally, we understood. We have a chart, a scientific chart. Actually, we have an academy that we teach to consultants, technical consultants. They can visit your home. They can go. They can measure this, and they can measure this type of bubbles you have, this near field exposure, and they can figure out how many discs you need and where you need to place it in order to filter out this. But if you want to follow a principle and a basic recipe, what you need to understand is, okay, you need the Spiro card. You need the Spiro card I have here.
Yeah.
Close to the cell phone for the bubble that is producing the cell phone because it's functioning. So you need the square X for the Wi-Fi router, close to the Wi-Fi router.
Okay.
And actually, the people, for instance, knows that when you turn off your router during the night, you will sleep better. And they are quite aware of this, and they are not relating that when you turn off the router, you're still receiving Wi-Fi signals from your neighborhood. So why you're feeling much better? Because you're reducing the bubble that is close to you.
Yeah.
And so you need to take into account this. So one of the things that's happening in our home is we have the kitchen, the living room, and the bedroom, and these three areas, because we have the TV, we have lamps, we have different connections and electricity, we have these bubbles. So you need to place at least one disc in these bubbles in order to have a full depolarization of this noisy effect from this low frequency radiation. And if you have enough filtering power in the space, you will be neutralizing all the noise from microwave radiation. So this is a different approach. It's basic in physics and basic in scientific principles, and you can go to our website, and we have different ways that we are suggesting to you how to use it. So, and the second question is, it's bad if I have more disk. Is something that's not good in me, or no? It's fine. Actually, I have so many. It's not going to produce a harmful effect, and the reason is very important. The reason is we are having a material that produce a passive effect. It's a passive filter. And what is a passive filter? The passive filter means that the response of filtering effect of the material, it will be activated when it's receiving the noise, the signals. It's actually something that it's connected to the resonance of the electrons around the gold nanoparticles. It's one of the most important scientific discoveries in material science about these unique properties of gold nanoparticles, that we have the blessing that we were capable to patent worldwide. But there is so many applications on this. So the material is going to activate the filtering process when it interacting with this radiation. But you have a cell phone call, if you have the car, it is a huge amount of radiation in a specific moment, a spike.
Mm-hmm.
And in this moment, the resonance effect and the filtering process is going to be higher. So actually, we have a test, dynamic test, we measuring with people when they are doing the calls with the car, and the nervous system remain stable because the car is filtering according to the amount of contamination it's receiving. So it's not going to affect you in any way. And the residual effect of this passive effect in the space is connected to natural places. The Spiro fields are in the beginning, like around 70 or 80 years ago, it was found as a physical phenomenon in very powerful natural places. So they are connected to minerals and connected to some natural organization that produce like a it's like a vortex effect. So
Mhm.
when there's places in the world natural, they call it like a vortex energy effects. And I measure with instruments of quantum uh, analysis. One of those systems is the biowell system, and we can measure the actual energy level of the space scientifically. And that is Spiro. It's a physical phenomenon. So when you go to a beach or a natural place, uh, you're fine, and you are immersed in some of these places with some vortex of Spiro fields. The thing is, with this, you are moving continuously with the Spiro field, and you are placing the Spiro field in your home. So that's the second reason that when you go to nature, you are feeling good, because you are sometimes immersed in these natural Spiro fields.
Yeah. So theoretically, should you be putting a disc like on all of your appliances, like a dishwasher or refrigerator, or simply just having the disc in the kitchen is sufficient?
Yeah, most of the bubbles in the electrical appliance of the kitchen are around 1 meter, or around 1 to 1.5 meters, like 3 feet, 4 feet. So the residual effect of the huge disc, the one like the Spirit disc X, well, I have one here, I think. Let me see.
Yeah.
Uh, I have it here, but I have this one here. The
Yeah.
disc X. So this is one of the best solution for kitchen, because the range of action is it's actually reaching a response that is called the supercoherence. The supercoherence start when we have 3 layers, and we have 57 of this inside. And this is the Spiro, this X. So the interaction with those bubbles with this disc in the kitchen will actually depolarize and filter out all the noise from all the bubbles. So you don't need to place a disc in each electrical appliance.
Okay.
And the same happen with this is for major sources of radiation. To lower sources, something minor, something like I don't know, a clock or a lamp, it's not so significantly. One of the things that also we need to take in account is the light environment. The light environment is the quality of light you are immersed. We should understand that the nutrition that we're receiving uh, from light is very important. In our home, the light needs to be warm, needs to be flickering free, needs to be not full of the this polarized blue spectrum that is super cold. I'm not saying that the blue is bad. Actually, that's the reason that the sky is blue, is because we need this type
Yeah.
of frequencies. And actually, there is blue light that it's good for our health. But this blue light from this standard LED are not good, so we should keep in account that some people, when they are start to filter out the noise of the space, but they are not handling the light environment, and they are not going to feel well, because you are still missing one key factor, that's the light environment. So if you
Yeah.
combine everything, you have a clean space.
Yeah. We changed out our entire house. We only have red lights in our bedrooms and in the living room, and then in the kitchen and my office we have the yellow, the amber lights. So there's a little bit of
Amber lights,
green,
yes.
but there's no blue. So
Nice.
we've gone crazy. We have the Spiros everywhere, and the lights are not. There's no LEDs or like the really strong blue lights, the fluorescent lights.
Yes, great, great. And also, for people that are the audience that are listening to us, it's also important to understand that that's the type of light environment you should have from artificial sources of light. But at the same time, keep in mind that you need to go out. You need to interact with the natural light, and
Yeah.
the reason is because in terms of light, we need intensity. We need intensity of light, and when you measure the intensity of light, even if you have a healthy light in your house, in terms of the intensity, it's just like 1,000 times below the amount of intensity of light, photons, energy that you need. So when you go out and you can measure with an app. You can download an app and you can measure the amount of light lux you're
Yeah.
receiving, and you will see it. You will see it inside your home. You are receiving like a 600 lux, and outside you can receive 60,000, 90,000. It's
Yeah.
crazy the difference. So the nutrition is related to the amount of light, and we need to go out and just stay for a while in the beginning. I suggest the sunrise to connect with the infrared in the red light. It's
Yeah.
a natural therapy, so
Yeah.
that's a good habit.
Yeah, I saw your website and you put light, magnetism, and water. And
Yeah.
those are three things I talk a lot about. So, yeah.
Yes. Uh,
Okay. Amazing. I think, let me just make sure I'm not missing anybody's significant question somebody asked. One question about the water structuring
yeah.
that came up, and I didn't know the answer. Do you have to put the glass on top of the disc and let it sit there, or simply like if I have a disc X or a disc Ultra and I put it near the water, is that sufficient?
Yeah. The if you are near, for instance, like 2 meters
Yeah.
from the water, it will be producing a structured water. But if you have a this X and or ultra, you need to place it direct to the water to have the super coherence structure. So the difference is we are structuring the water in a different levels, and the different levels. And actually, we finished a study like 2 years ago, and we submitted to a peer review process in a scientific journal, the Scientific Journal of Biotechnology, Bioengineering, and we get the publication out like a month ago. And what we proved was the different filtering power that we have in the Spiro, and the difference between those in the terms of the quality of water, in a structured water. So structured water is the natural organization of the water molecules in a specific way that are actually charged and they produce these exclusion zones. It's a specific of coherence in water.
Mhm.
So, but we have a supercoherence, and the difference is the supercoherence is going to be immune to any electrical stimulus outside, to any radiation outside. It's going to remain organized. The natural structure, and it's easy to structure water with different systems that are available in the market. You can actually structure with different ways to movement, to frequencies, to sound, to different ways. The thing is, it's easy to structure, but it's difficult to remain structured the water because it's in face of different factors. But when you go to supercoherence, it's incredible. It's immune. So if you have a small disk or you have a car, you need to place it directly to the water. If you have a this X or ultra or something in the space, it will be structured in the water. Your blood, everything is going to be structured in the space. Actually, we have scientists that they did some experiments with my technology on structured water, and they place. It's a very interesting. One is in Spain. He placed the water and he started to measure the baseline, and the water was structured, and the water is structured. Everything was structured. Why? Because he has two ultras in the space.
Mm.
So, but when he plays, I say to him, okay, but now take the ultra and place it direct to the water, and let's see it. And you can see how the energy goes up and the
Mm.
strength of the bonds and the hydrogen bonds are more strong.
Mhm.
So there is a difference when you structure direct than when you structure from residual effects.
Is there a length of time you have to keep it like touching the water or?
The minimum time that we measure it's 8 minutes. So you need 8 minutes to structure water, and it will remain structured for weeks. And if you reach supercoherence, the ideal is 30 minutes to remain close to the water system, and it will remain basically forever.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. It would be interesting to do like like a really long-term study and have somebody only drink super
Yeah.
coherent water for a length of time and look at what the difference is, like metabolic flexibility, sleep, like all the markers, like inflammatory markers. That would be interesting to look at because
Yes.
I've structured my water for a while. I don't know if you're familiar with the nnEMF wand. It's like a glass wand, and you stir it for like 60 seconds, and it
Okay.
structures the water. But they don't talk about super coherence, so I imagine the disc, makes the bonds stronger over time.
Yeah. And look, we are now doing partnership with different companies. They are doing already structured water. They have their own systems, very interesting systems. And the thing with the four phase of water, it's we think it's something like, I mean, it's a binary, like a one and zeros. We think, okay, this is not structured and this is a structure. But there is a huge field of application in the structured water systems. And actually you can, the water system can hold information.
Mm-hmm.
So when you structure the water, you can put information where it can be sustained. And we're working with doctors here that they are having some saline solutions. They're adding information with quantum medicine. And they have some PhD on this, and they have products, and they measure. And we measure, I measure in my lab, and I can see it's a structure. But as soon as we place the disc, we take it to a different level.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to now produce these supplements and solutions uh, enhanced by Spiro fields, because when people take the supplement and goes to travel and go to the airport and anything, they
Yeah.
have in the purse. And I mean, it will reduce the quality of the supplement. And it was proven by the professor Gerard Pollack. It's
Yeah.
one of the fathers of the four phase of water. Actually, I have the new book of him, Charge. Very
Oh,
good. I read
I
it.
haven't read that yet.
Okay. This is a new one, about 2 weeks ago, go out. And he proved 3 years ago that the Wi-Fi radiation, it will reduce the structure water. I mean, if you have a structured water, you put it in front of a Wi-Fi radiation router, it will decrease the structure level of the water. So, a scientist related to the field of water sent me the paper and asked me, "Can you do the same test in your lab? Can you measure and take a record video of the process, and we can repeat it 6 times in order to be sure of the result? Share me the result. I will do it myself." So this is the scientific study we published. We prove that with the Spiro water is not going to happen what happened to all the structured waters.
Mm. That's going to be a game changer in the supplement field, especially just as people become more toxic and we're just seeing sicker and sicker and sicker people. Like even just when I started practicing 10 years ago, I rarely saw children or teenagers. And now it's like all these kids are so sick.
Yeah.
These teenagers are so sick. Like my generation, our generation, people were starting to kind of collapse, in our 30s and
Yes.
40s. The baby boomers are collapsing in their 60s and 70s. And the generation before the boomers, they made it to their 80s and 90s before they collapsed. And now these
Yes.
poor kids are collapsing and they need, unfortunately, supplementation because they're just so incredibly deficient and so incredibly toxic. And we know this in homeopathy that if you send it through the mail, that most of us wrap it in aluminum foil. We try to protect the frequencies because everything around us breaks those frequencies.
Yes.
But with our supplements, we haven't had a solution to that yet. So it's going to be Spiro can really be a solution to that, to where
Yeah.
people can receive their supplements on the other side of the world. And, we haven't started to degrade the quality.
Yes. And also it's going to happen with food. When I start the my research on this on the field of radiation, I start studying the microwave Owens effects on food. and the
Yeah.
quality of nutrients on the food and how the nutrients remain in the food, because actually it was 25 years ago, and it was a Swiss scientist that was what he was doing this research. But then I was connected to a Hong Kong university. They were doing the same, and they say, but we can see the nutrients, we can see the vitamins, everything is remaining there, the same levels. So why we are not absorbing the nutrients of the food after we put it in the microwave oven if the nutrients remains there? And the answer was quite shocking. We are not absorbing the nutrients because we are disorganizing the basic information structure of the molecule.
Yeah.
And this is related to quantum biology, but if you think it, now we are in a microwave oven, because now we are immersed in the same frequency that we have in the microwave oven. We have it from the Wi-Fi routers, and we are immersed in hundreds of Wi-Fi signals all the time, and we know that the microbiome communicates in the same impulse that we have in the. I mean, they use the same frequency that we are using for microwave oven. It was well proven that the microbiome connects at 2.5, 2.4 gigahertz, same frequency.
Mm.
So we're interfering with those frequencies with noise, with adding noise in the specific channels, for a way to say, the specific channels of communication of the microbiome.
Yeah.
So in the end, what we have now is we have people that they are eating, but are not getting the nutrients, and they're only getting the nutrients because it's not available, it's not bioavailable.
Yeah.
So with the water is the same. Is the same. So with the Spiro fields, we are structuring the water, the food, and we're producing that is going to be bioavailable for your body to absorb the nutrients. I have cases, Lauren, for people that over the years they were losing the capacity to absorb iron. I remember a lady, she was doing different type of treatments and she was not capable to absorb iron. And as soon as we put the filters in the bedroom and in the house, the next test, like a month after that, she was absorbing iron, and
Mm.
the skin, the color skin changed, the energy level, everything, and she was losing the capacity because she was an issue with the electromagnetic radiation and the iron. So your body is going to react in a different way. I mean, that's it's not. If people say it's not affecting me because I don't have the headache that you have, I'm not fatigued like you are, but maybe your body is producing a different mechanism, and in the inflammation response is happening inside you, but it's
Yeah.
not expressing in a specific symptom like that of fatigue or headache or these type of things.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I notice it in my family. My husband never has any symptoms. He's always like, well, I mean, it's not really that dangerous. I don't feel anything. And it's like, as soon as I get into the city with all the 5G towers, I'm like, oh, this feels terrible. Like, I feel foggy. Um, but I do think it's just, I don't know. I've contemplated this over the years. Like, what is the difference between people that are more symptomatic and less symptomatic? And I don't really have a good answer to that other
Yeah.
than there's, I mean, bio individuality is like encompasses so much stuff, like traumas and emotional things, and I think there's a lot that kind of goes into it. But I think at the end of the day, the EMFs affect everybody,
Yeah.
and everybody's body is responding to them in some way. Maybe they're not getting symptoms, but maybe they end up with cancer in 3 years. Or an
Yeah.
autoimmune condition, 10 years later, or dementia, or, Alzheimer's, or whatever it is. So maybe you're not noticing it like right now in time, but maybe you'll notice it in 10 years and then you don't even relate it to the EMFs because you're just so used to being surrounded by them.
Yeah, we know so far that there is two organs are being affected in all people all the time, and the two organs are the heart and the brain.
Yeah.
And it's not related to symptoms outside, but your brain activity is being changed by those frequencies full of noise. And the same with the heart. The heart is reacting to this. The magnetic field of heart goes outside your body with
Yeah.
each heartbeat. So it's not reaching outside, it's reading outside. And there is a lot of research on related with the HeartMath Institute here in the US. It's very interesting.
Mhm.
And they are measuring the heartbeats in glass of water in front of the people. And now there are new understanding that our basically our heart and the 40,000 neurons we have in our heart, in the heart has its own nervous system, is basically reading the space.
Mhm.
So can you imagine if your heart is reading the space all the time, is reading the noise, and translating the noise as an aggression?
Yeah.
So it's something to think about.
Yeah. That's actually really beautiful, to be honest. You know, the way that we interact with our environment is supposed to be this beautiful thing where we
Yeah.
sense nature and we sense animals and we all have these bubbles that are supposed to be coherent. I think we're all like losing even just this concept of like intuition. We're
Yes.
like losing some of that because we're so crowded by this noise and we don't even realize that it's happening.
Yeah, and that's the reason when we go any place, you can feel when someone is sad
Yeah.
or someone have an argument with others, and the space is, they say the space is like a heavy space.
Yeah.
And I measure this with specific instruments, and the environmental energy of activity that we can measure with bioelectrography, it changed. And actually, I have antennas measuring the space. And I remember I was giving a lecture once, and everyone was happy, everyone is quiet. I have the antenna. I can see the levels. I can see that everybody is feeling good. And suddenly, someone is entered the room. He was very angry. He was not feeling good for a different reason. And as soon as he entered, I figure out quickly, because I saw the response on the antenna, and the energy, boom, goes down. And so it's real, and it's physics, so we can measure. So it's not hypothesis, it's something that is happening in all the spaces. And we need to start connecting the dots, and connecting that sometimes you're feeling not so good, you're feeling some response in your body, or sometimes you enter a room and you feel pain here or here. It's electromagnetic pollution. Even if you're not sensitive, but you are feeling maybe an electrical field that
Yeah.
is reaching you, or you are close to electrical rooms. You go to an hotel, and your room is in front of the electrical room of the floor. And you need to take into account that. And you feel something in your back. So everything is connected to your nervous system, sending you information of what's happening in your surroundings. And as soon as you start to connect that, that's the reason we have the non-profit organization that we call IFIA, and we have a surveys that you can go, and you can do these surveys, and you can find the potential levels of electro sensitivity you have, or if you are developing these sensitivities over time. And of course, we know after more than 10,000 people we helped on the last 10 years, we know that for every man suffering from electro hypersensitivity, we have 3 women that are suffering from this. So it's more connected somehow, that the women are more sensitive and vulnerable to this. Are We don't have the full assessment medical to say it's for this reason, but we know it. And now we need to add the kids, because the kids, they're growing now with this exposure, and all the time, and they're putting so many uh, uh, iPads and close and electronics
Yeah.
close to them, and they should avoid that. Even if people ask me, okay, but I have the Spiro. Yeah, but you should take into account that the nervous system is receiving an electrical stimulus. It's
Yeah.
like turn on the lights during the night when you are asleep. You're going to wake probably. If you're not going to wake, even you are remaining asleep, we can see when, because I'm related to sleep quality test and sleep quality studies, clinicals, and we know that if you turn the light and you off, and you're still asleep, but your brain changed the activity, because
Yeah.
the skin conductance react to the change of the light environment.
Yeah.
So the same happened with electrical stimulus in a kid. It's something huge. It's 10 times more sensitive to react the nervous systems to this subtle changes in this electrical stimulus in the space.
Yeah. Yeah. Massively. I mean, kids react, even if my son, so we don't allow him on any electronics unless we're on an airplane, which is only like twice a year, or, you know, we have like a very long car trip or something. We allow him a little bit of time, but just him being on it, it's the lighting, it's the EMFs. It's like he gets overstimulated. He's only 3. It's massive overstimulation. And
Yes.
you know, I know all these things, so we don't give it to him, but it's amazing. And then kids get just like addicted to this stuff very quickly. Like you give it one time, like if we give it one time on a plane, he's asking about it for a week afterwards. Like, oh, you know, I want that thing. And it's yeah, it's yeah. I think I'm gonna be sending my kid to school with a, a Spiro card. Right now, he's in a forest school, so he's outdoors all morning.
Okay.
So he's grounding all day. They go barefoot and they climb trees
Great.
and all that. But if he ever starts going to a regular school and he's indoors more, I'm definitely going to be sending him to school with this. So,
Yeah, you should. You should. We have studies on schools around here in Miami, and we found kids with electrohypersensitivity, with different symptoms and
yeah,
anxiety attacks. It's something that we need to worry because they are suffering from this and they are not aware of that. They are thinking that maybe something is psychological, or maybe they have more fear from this or that challenge in the school, but it's not related to that. Actually, once in an international school in the Caribbean, one of the islands that we were conducting a test, we have a mom that comes to us after getting the disc to give me the testimony that the daughter always go out from the school super hyperactive. They can't control it all the time. It was crazy to her. It was very difficult. She was rejecting to take lunch. It was crazy for her. And she said to me, and she always behaved like that every day, Joaquin, and remain behaving like that like at 4 or 5 hours. And I never relate this with the contamination. And now, as soon as I start to put the disc inside of the bag that she's taking to the school, she's going out, she's active, she's behaving so differently.
yeah,
And as soon as we arrive to our home, she goes sleep, she's happy and change suddenly. And we can see it. And for sure there is no other factor. The only change was at the disc when she goes to the school. So it's
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. And think about all the kids that are getting diagnosed with ADD, they're getting medicated, and maybe they're just electrosensitive. It's wild.
Yes, yes. I have doctors that they're studying the field of EMS for like 2 or 3 years. They are not quite familiar. So I'm starting to interact with them. I'm adding information, new papers that we have from a decade ago, and they start to connecting the dots. And like 2 months ago, one of the doctors told me that he has a new hypothesis on several illness that he was before labeling these kids with this type of syndromes. And
Hmm.
he said to me, I'm not sure, Joaquin, if what we are doing is misdiagnosing something that is not related to that disease, is related to the electromagnetic pollution. And we're saying the kid is suffering from ADHD. And it's not ADHD because how can he change the behavior and not behaving like an ADHD regular kid as soon as we protect the environments with the Spiro? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So it's a new field to see if we are not understanding what is really happening in our society.
Yeah. No, it makes me so sad.
Yeah,
Really sad, actually.
yes, it is.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Like, I learned a ton. This was amazing. This has actually given me a lot to think about and bring back even to the modern eco village. I'm super sure we're going to be reaching out to you to see how we can protect the space and the hotel and the children's school that we're building. Um, and just, yeah, I mean, this is going to change. I think this is going to change the trajectory of even like functional medicine when we start
Yeah,
incorporating it with the supplements because It's just people are getting weaker and weaker and sicker and sicker. They're needing more and more supports and help just to live a normal life. And Spiro is absolutely going to be a huge, huge piece of that. So I'm excited to be just talking about these products, promoting them, helping people, get the Spiros in their homes. And yeah, thank you. I
Well,
had listened to one of your podcasts. It was like 4 hours long and it was in Spanish, so I can't share it with my following because they're mostly English speakers. But I understood like, I don't know, 15% of it. It was very biophysics. And I was like, this dude he's on another level. so so thank you
well,
so much for your work. And thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
my pleasure. We're always available. We have a huge team worldwide, and we have an international network of consultants and experts conducting projects. We're available in social media, but also you can reach us by email. And thank you for help so many people
Yeah.
sharing this information, and that's the way that everything started in the beginning. We were just trying to help people like my wife, and we starting with a crowdfunding, and now we are just doing the same with people like you. They are they are feeling much better with this. They're starting to understand the technology, starting to sharing this. So it's for us, it's mouth to mouth, and one person at a time, and we are happy to help anybody that needs more help. And the Eco Village, I love those type of projects. That's the future. So yeah, I'm available for that too. Come with me.
Amazing. I'm looking forward to it.
Looking forward, yeah.
All right.
And thank you everybody
Thank
for
you so
remaining
much.
here.
Bye, Joaquin.
Bye.